At my birthday party, my husband toasted to my beautiful wife. Just then, a drunk guest laughed, "Too bad she'll never know about us, right?" The room fell silent. My husband's face turned white. I stood frozen as the guest stammered, "Wait. He didn't tell you?" My best friend grabbed my hand and whispered, "You need to see this." What she showed me made the entire room gasp. I never imagined my 40th birthday would be the day my world came crashing down. Living in Chicago, I believed I had built a solid life with my husband, David. We had a comfortable home in Lincoln Park, 2 wonderful kids, and a circle of friends who felt like family. To celebrate my milestone, David organized a gathering at the Gauge, our favorite spot near Millennium Park. The evening started beautifully. The warm glow of the city lights, the hum of conversation, and the clinking of glasses created a perfect atmosphere. Friends and family surrounded us, sharing stories and laughter. I felt truly cherished. As the night progressed, David stood up, tapping his glass to get everyone's attention. The room quieted as all eyes turned to him. "To my beautiful wife," he began, his voice filled with emotion. 40 years have only made you more radiant. Here's to many more memories together." A chorus of cheers erupted, and I felt a surge of love for the man beside me. But just as the applause died down, a voice from the end of the table shattered the moment. "Too bad she'll never know about us, right?" slurred Mark, one of David's colleagues, clearly inebriated. The room fell into a stunned silence. David's face drained of color, his eyes darting nervously. I felt as if the ground had been yanked from beneath me. "Wait. He didn't tell you?" Mark stammered, realizing his blunder. Before I could process his words, my best friend, Sarah, who had been sitting beside me, grabbed my hand. Her grip was firm, her expression a mix of anger and concern. "You need to see this," she whispered urgently. Confused and shaken, I followed her as she led me away from the table, out of the restaurant, and into the cool night air. We walked in silence to a nearby bench overlooking the serene waters of Lake Michigan. Sarah pulled out her phone, hesitated for a moment, then handed it to me. On the screen were messages, intimate, explicit messages, between David and someone named Elle. "I've known for a while," Sarah admitted, her voice trembling. "I didn't know how to tell you. I hoped it would end, that he'd come to his senses." Tears blurred my vision as I scrolled through the damning evidence. My hands shook, and a cold numbness spread through me. "Who is she?" I managed to ask. "Lisa," Sarah replied. "His assistant." The name hit me like a punch. I had met Lisa several times, a young, ambitious woman who always seemed eager to please. "I confronted David once," Sarah continued. "He brushed it off, said I was misinterpreting things. But then I saw them together, at a cafe on Michigan Avenue. It was more than just work. Betrayal, anger, sadness, all these emotions swirled within me. The man I had trusted, the father of my children, had been unfaithful. "I need to go," I said, standing abruptly. "Let me come with you," Sarah offered. I shook my head. "I need to face him alone." Returning to the restaurant, I found David outside, pacing nervously. "Where did you go?" he asked, his voice laced with anxiety. "Is it true?" I demanded, holding up Sarah's phone. "Are you involved with Lisa?" His eyes widened in shock, then shame. He looked away, unable to meet my gaze. "Answer me, David." He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Yes," he admitted. "But it's over now." "Over?" I scoffed. "Do you think that makes it better?" "I'm sorry," he whispered. "It was a mistake." "A mistake?" My voice rose. "A mistake is forgetting an anniversary." This is betrayal." Tears streamed down my face as the weight of his actions pressed down on me. "I need time," I said finally. "Time to think." Without waiting for a response, I turned and walked away, leaving David standing alone under the city lights. The days that followed were a blur. I moved into a friend's apartment in the West Loop, needing space to process everything. David called and texted incessantly, but I couldn't bring myself to respond. One evening, Sarah visited, bringing a bottle of wine and a listening ear. "You don't have to decide anything now," she said gently. "Take all the time you need." "But what about the kids?" I asked, my heart aching for them. "They love you," she assured me. "And they'll understand, in time." Weeks turned into months. David and I attended counseling sessions, attempting to mend the shattered trust. Some days were hopeful, others, filled with despair. One afternoon, while walking through Grant Park, I realized that forgiveness didn't mean forgetting. It didn't mean things would return to the way they were. But perhaps it was a step toward healing. David and I decided to separate, giving each other space to heal and reflect. Co-parenting became our new focus, ensuring our children felt loved and secure. Life in Chicago continued. The city, with its bustling streets and towering skyscrapers, became a backdrop to my journey of self-discovery and resilience. Through pain and betrayal, I found strength I never knew I had. And as the seasons changed, so did I, embracing the unknown, ready to write the next chapter of my life. 3 weeks after I moved out, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. The subject line just said, "You need to know the truth." At first, I thought it might be spam. But my gut told me to open it. The message was short: Lisa wasn't the only one. Ask him about Detroit. My chest tightened. I stared at it for what felt like an hour before calling Sarah. "Are you sitting down?" I asked her. She came over within 20 minutes. We sat at my tiny dining table, and I showed her the email. She read it 3 times without saying a word. "Do you think it's real?" I asked, barely above a whisper. "I don't know," she said. "But if it is, then David's a lot worse than we thought." That night I didn't sleep. I went back through all the text messages Sarah had shown me, rereading everything. Then I started digging. I pulled up our shared calendar from the past year and noticed something. 2 trips to Detroit. He told me they were work conferences. One was in March. The other in October. Both times he was gone for 3 days. I remember because I had to cancel a girls' night both times to stay with the kids. The next morning, I called his office, pretending to be confirming dates for a tax form. The woman at the front desk didn't even hesitate. "He didn't attend the Detroit conference," she said. "He hasn't been in Detroit since 2022. I hung up without saying goodbye. My hands were shaking. I drove straight to his apartment. I wasn't even thinking clearly. When he opened the door, he looked surprised to see me. "We're not supposed to see each other today," he said, confused. "Yeah," I snapped. "But I'm not here to talk about schedules." He froze. "I got an email," I said. "Someone told me to ask you about Detroit." He went pale. Listen, it's not what you think," I cut him off. "Then what is it, David?" "Because you told me you were at a work conference." "But you weren't, were you?" He sat down on the edge of the couch and put his face in his hands. I could see the sweat on his forehead. "It was someone else," he finally whispered. I laughed. A dry, bitter laugh that didn't feel like it came from me. "So, not just Lisa," I said. "You lied to me twice." "I didn't mean for any of it to happen," he said. That sentence made my skin crawl. "You didn't mean for it? You planned these trips. You left your children. You lied to your wife. You chose it." He didn't argue. He just sat there. I turned and left. Later that night, I got a message from the same unknown email again. This time, it had pictures. David. At a hotel. With a blonde woman. Laughing. Holding hands. They looked comfortable, like it wasn't new. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I called Sarah again. She came right over. We sat in silence as I showed her the photos. "This guy's a goddamn monster," she said. I nodded, feeling the rage rise up inside me. But more than that, I felt humiliated. Betrayed. Stupid. "I think I know who sent the email," I said. She looked at me. "Who?" "Lisa." Sarah blinked. "You think she's trying to get back at him?" I shrugged. "Maybe. Or maybe she found out about the other woman and got pissed." I didn't know what to do. Everything was unraveling fast. But deep down, a small voice kept whispering, "There's more." And I wasn't ready to stop digging. 2 days after the photos, I got a friend request on Facebook. The profile name was Maya B. I didn't recognize her, but her profile picture caught my attention. It was her, the blonde woman in the hotel photos. My heart dropped. Her profile was mostly private, but the few public photos showed her at events, with David. In one picture from 6 months ago, they were dressed up for what looked like a gala. His hand was around her waist. Her smile was wide. The caption said, "Detroit nights are my favorite." I felt sick. I showed Sarah. Her jaw clenched. "This woman looks way too comfortable with him," she said. This wasn't some weekend fling. I messaged Maya. "Just 3 words, do we need to talk?" She replied within the hour. "I've been waiting for you to reach out. I'm sorry you had to find out this way." I stared at that message for what felt like forever before typing back. "Who are you to him?" Her reply nearly broke me. "I was his girlfriend. For almost a year. I didn't know he was married until a few weeks ago. That's when I knew David wasn't just a cheater. He was living a double life." I asked for proof. She didn't hesitate. She sent screenshots. Text messages. Photos. A hotel receipt with both their names. An Uber history. Plane tickets. Her apartment key with a tag that read "D spare." One screenshot made my blood run cold. It was a text from David to Maya, sent 4 months ago. "I wish she'd just leave me already. I can't keep pretending." She. That was me. He had been planning this. I sat with that for a long time. Sarah was speechless when I told her. And then, the twist I didn't expect. Maya asked if we could talk on the phone. She sounded young. Hurt. Just as betrayed as I was. But then she said something that chilled me. "You're not the first woman he lied to." "What do you mean?" "There was someone before me. Her name's Nia. I only know because he slipped once and mentioned her. I found her on Instagram. She lives in Milwaukee." I was stunned. This man wasn't just a cheater. He was a serial manipulator. I reached out to Nia. It took a few days before she replied, but when she did, she confirmed everything. She and David had a serious thing for over 6 months. He told her he was divorced. He even met her parents. My head was spinning. 3 women. All within the last 2 years. Possibly more. That same week, David emailed me. Not a text. Not a call. An email. He said he wanted to talk. Face to face. I didn't respond. I forwarded it to my lawyer. Because now, it wasn't just about heartbreak. It was about the years of lies, the damage to our family, and the manipulation that ran deeper than I ever expected. But the worst wasn't even over yet. Because just when I thought I knew everything, a letter came in the mail. Handwritten. No return address. Inside was a single sentence: "He has a child in Detroit." And just like that, everything shattered again. The letter sat on my table for an hour before I touched it again. Just one line: "He has a child in Detroit." I read it over and over like it might make more sense if I kept looking. I felt everything at once: rage, confusion, grief, shame. I called Sarah. She didn't even say hello when she picked up. "What happened?" I got a letter, I said, my voice shaking. It says David has a child. In Detroit. There was a pause. Do you think it's true? I laughed. Bitter and raw. At this point, does it even matter if I think it's true? She came over right away. We sat in silence for a long time before she finally said, "You need to confront him. In front of everyone. He's been playing all of us." I knew she was right. So I planned it. I didn't want to do it in secret. I didn't want whispers and backroom drama. I wanted him to answer to everyone he had lied to. I reached out to Maya and Nia. Told them everything. Told them I wanted to confront him, with them there. To make him say it all out loud. They agreed. We met at Sarah's place the following Saturday. Sarah, Maya, Nia, me. And I invited David. He didn't know the others would be there. I told him I was finally ready to talk face to face. When he walked in and saw the three of us, his face drained of color. "Jesus Christ," he said. "What is this?" "A meeting," I said flatly. "To talk about the women in your life." "All of them." Maya crossed her arms. "Hi, David." Nia didn't even say anything. She just glared. He sat down. His hands were trembling. I'd never seen him like that. The man who once had so much control now looked like a scared little boy. I didn't waste time. "There's something you need to tell us," I said. "Start with Detroit." He looked at each of us. Realized he had no way out. He broke. He admitted to everything. Lisa. Maya. Nia. Even someone else he didn't name. And then he said it. "Yes. There's a child in Detroit. A boy. He's 3. Maya gasped. Nia started crying quietly. I stared at him, my mind blank. "You have a child. And you kept it hidden? While playing house with me, with us?" He tried to justify it. "I didn't know at first. She didn't tell me until after he was born. And by then, I was scared. I didn't want to lose my family." "You lost your family the day you started lying," I shouted. "You think this is about fear? This is cowardice. This is cruelty." Sarah, who had been quiet the whole time, finally stood up. "I watched my best friend break piece by piece for months while you played games, David," she said. "You don't get to cry about how scared you were." He looked at me, like he was pleading. "I made mistakes. But I still love you." I never stopped. I felt a sharp pang in my chest. But I didn't flinch. "You don't love me," I said quietly. "You love control. You love comfort. You love the idea of us. But you don't know love." He broke down. Full sobs. But I didn't comfort him. I watched the man I thought I knew fall apart. And I felt nothing. He left that day without saying another word. Maya blocked him. Nia said she was going to therapy. I told my lawyer to file for divorce. The kids, they knew something was wrong. I sat them down a week later. I didn't give details. Just that their dad and I weren't going to live together anymore. That we loved them, and that wouldn't change. David tried texting. Tried apologizing. I didn't answer. He wanted to meet again. "Just the two of us," he said. I declined. There was nothing left to say. I talked to a therapist. Cried in her office. Told her about the good years. About the lies. About the rage I couldn't shake and the love I couldn't fully kill. She said something that stuck with me: "You weren't stupid. You were trusting. That's not a flaw." It's been 4 months now. I moved to a smaller place. Still in Chicago. I got a new job, part-time, something just for me. I started going to a local yoga class. I read more. I laugh more. I stopped checking his social media. Sarah is still my rock. Maya and I talk sometimes. Nia sent me a thank you message last week. David sends child support. He sees the kids every other weekend. That's it. I don't know if he changed. I don't care anymore. What I do know is this: I deserved better. I still do. And I'm finally starting to believe that. I don't know what comes next. But I'm not afraid of it anymore.